How's it going, everybody? This is David Hedge with Two Edges Smash Gaming, and it is October. That means one thing, and that is Halloween. That is spooks, that is ghouls, that is goblins, that is everything, especially candy. But here we're going to be doing a month of Halloween-themed gaming, and what better way to start it off than to feature a game that has one of the most iconic villains in the history of mythology that is of H.P. Lovecraftian variety. We're talking about Cthulhu and the Ancient Ones, and we're talking about going into a museum to stop them by finding the one thing that keeps them from crossing over into our plane. So let us take a look at a game from Fantasy Flight Games called Elder Sign. Welcome to Elder Sign from Fantasy Flight Games. Sounds pretty intimidating, huh? Shouldn't be. Alright, in this game, you are an investigator searching a museum trying to stop an ancient one from breaking through. Now, in this game, there are several different ancient ones, a lot of them, including the big man himself, Cthulhu. But for this case, we have Yig. And this is the main bad guy you have to deal with. Each one has a constant ability that takes place all throughout the game. And if by chance you can't seal him away with the Elder Signs, which we'll go over that soon, you have to face him and he does attack. And every time an Elder attacks, it's going to be painful, I'm not going to lie. So, we have heroes that you get to choose from, and there's like a whole stack of them. I'll show you those in a sec. For example, in this scenario, we have Dexter Drake, and we have Sister Marie. Because, well, when you have a magician and a nun going into a museum, all sorts of jokes can ensue. But that's another time. So, we have the game mostly set up here. You have parts of the museum. You have a stack of cards. Each of these are locations in the museum. And the anatomy of these cards are as follows. You have the tasks you need to complete, which you're going to be rolling a lot of die in here. So if you're a big Yahtzee fan, this is the game for you. You have rewards if you succeed, and you have consequences if you fail. Also, this little number here is a trophy amount, which you can trade these in and get Elder Signs. And that's the way you need to win, because to seal away an Ancient One, you must get Elder Signs to do it. And with the Elder Signs, each one has a different number. So for example, with him, you need 10 Elder Signs to seal him away. Now, each investigator has starting sanities, so he has 5 sanity, 5 health. He has an ability, each one has an ability. So for example, a magician has a magical gift. And then also you have your starting items, which are different ones. There's weapons, there's spells, there are ancient artifacts, and then you have followers, aides, helpers. Any way you want to put it, they're going to be watching your back. So for example, with Dexter, you get 2 magical items, and some of these will have this little spot here which will let you focus dice, and we'll go over that soon. And let's go ahead and draw his artifact, ancient, there. And then for her, she has a common weapon, she has a souped up weapon, if you will, and she gets a spell book. Don't ask me why a nun has a spell book. They're fighting ancient ones. They need every bit of help they can get. Now, you may notice some of these will have red dyes, some of these will have yellow dyes, some may have both, and that's actually a cool thing. We'll show you that. So, our weapons are these die right here. We need these die to complete tasks throughout the museum and to help us aid in sealing away the Ancient One that's trying to break through. On your turn, so say for example it's Dexter Drake's turn, you take the little marker, these cute little markers right here. They all start out at the entrance of the museum, which, by the way, this is a helpful thing later on in the game because you can buy souvenirs, aka Elder Signs, along with other cool things. You have you can search the lost and found, see if you can get lucky, or you might get damaged because you tripped over a thumbtack. And you also can receive first aid to help heal up, because in this game you will be taking some damage. So let's say Dexter Drake is going to go to the missing records. Now, it needs 6 investigation, which are these little magnifying glasses here. And it needs some scrolls, one scroll, so it needs 6 investigation for one, and then 1 scroll and 3 investigation for the other. So you have your scrolls and investigations on here. You also have death, which might come sooner than later in this game. And then you have the terror die. Now, this can be a pain in the backside because there's some of these to where if you roll the terror die, so let's say for example this here. If you roll a terror die and you are unable to complete any of the tasks, this happens. So for example, with this, you have to lose 1 trophy of your choice that you've gained, which trophies are this here and also monsters, and we'll go over that. So let's say Dexter has moved to the missing records. So on your turn, you'll roll the 6 dice and see what happens. So we have about as fair as I can usually roll. Now you can only complete one part of a task at a time. So for example, you can't lay out, say, 9 investigation and a scroll. Unfortunately, you can't do it. You have to work on one at a time. So for example, we have 3 investigation and the scroll. So we can go on ahead and put that there. Or if I wanted to, I can take the 7 investigation and put it on here. Now, you can do that. You can also focus, which lets you reserve a die here on your character for a later roll. There's also spell cards that you can play, or weapon cards, that will have that little slot that I was telling you about earlier. This lets you hold a dice. So you can play this, so let's say Dexter can play this, to hold the scroll. That way, all he needs is 1 more investigation. Now this is similar to most other games to where for some reason you cannot complete any task on a card. You have to call 1 die before you can roll again. Now, on some cases, if you roll this terror die, and if you can't complete an investigation on a card, every single terror die you roll would be gone. So, my luck, I would lose about 4 or 5 dice, and this would be a short game. So, let's see if we can get an investigation or 3. So, I got 1 investigation right there. So, let's go ahead and place that here, and let's see if I can make this 2 investigation. And I only got 1 investigation. See, that's on par with how I roll. So, if I would have got it, I would have gotten this reward. For example, that's 2 clues. Now, these things are really cool because they let you re-roll your dice. But in this case, since I failed, I would lose 1 sanity. And to signify that, there's these little brain counters here that you just put on your character. If for some reason you either lose all your sanity or lose all your health, unfortunately your character dies. The Ancient One will gain a token, which we'll show you that in a second, and you get to pick a new person, but they start back at the entrance to the museum. So, if you don't complete a task, your guy stays there. Now the cool thing is though, if Sister Mary can come over, I can actually help her out and save a die on my card in addition to her being able to save 1 on hers. So it's teamwork at its finest. It's not Power Rangers, maybe Ancient Rangers, I don't know. But that's how it goes. That's the game at each turn. At the end of each turn, you're racing against the clock. So this little clock here, which isn't so little, will advance 3 hours every turn. Every time it hits midnight, you have to draw 1 of these cards and do what it says. There's going to be an effect that'll immediately happen, and if there's a lingering effect, it'll show up down there. So for example, with this one, you add 1 Doom token to the Doom track when all investigators have 2 or more sanity. Or all investigators have 2 or more sanity. So this would, unfortunately, add a Doom token. If these guys were a little bit crazier, but luckily they're not. So you wouldn't add a Doom token. Some of them add 1, some of them add 2. And with these, they would go on to here. Now there's certain spots on the Ancient Ones that have these little guys. Those are their minions. Those are monsters. And you'll have like a cup of those that you can draw into, and they look something like this. That's an ugly little sucker, ain't he? And what you do is that any empty spot, like this guy here, has this little monster spot. You just place that there, and it adds on to that part of the museum. Now some of them will have this little lock symbol, which means you can't use that color die, or one die will be locked. So for example, with this one, if I had access to the yellow die, which for example this card would let me have the yellow die, I wouldn't be able to use it against until this is gone. And when these go, they just get put in front of you because you defeat them, and you get little rewards for these as well. So this one's worth 1 trophy. You'll see there is some of these can add monsters, and you see this spot right here. This unlocks another world. Ooh. And what that does is that you will actually travel to a different plane that would feature a lot of the iconic places of the Cthulhu mythos. And it would just be set aside here, and usually when you complete one of these, it gets replaced. These will not once they're completed. And these, some of them, they have like big rewards, but also they can do a lot of damage because you're in a different place, and it's going to be so messed up on you later on down the line. The other thing is to go over is you'll see some of these here will have this little arrow. On a lot of cards, you can just finish any tasks as any order that you want. This, you have to do it in that order. So this one you have to do 2 investigation, then 4 investigation, then a scroll. And with this one, if you can defeat it, you get a common item and 2 clues. Or if you lose a sanity and a health. It's bad times. Also with these, some of them will have at midnight, so not only do you have to draw a card from here, but some of these will trigger. So for example, with this one, it adds a Doom token on the track for each another world adventure card in play, which is like the ones I just showed you a second ago. So if you have these, each one of these that are out, that gives more Doom counters onto the ancient one. And that's pretty much the game. It's very simple and easy once you get into it. It's a great introductory way to get into the mythos of H.P. Lovecraft. It is a cool game, like I said, if you like Yahtzee, if you like rolling die, if you like ancient ones, if you like going crazy, this is a game for you. This is Elder Sign from Fantasy Flight Games. Well, there you have it. That is Learn to Play for Elder Sign from Fantasy Flight Games. A great dice rolling game. If you love dice, if you love Yahtzee, it brings Yahtzee and Cthulhu together in holy match or unholy match. Do elder gods even get married? I don't know if ancient ones. So. They don't get married. No, that's not a ghost. That's Cindy off camera. So
Boo.
It is that time of year. It is the season of haunts and ghosts and everything else, especially the worst thing ever, the most dangerous thing ever. And no, I'm not talking about Waffles, the corgi. The pumpkins are coming. The spice is real, and we must watch out for them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please make sure you click the bell so you never miss an upload. We have so much stuff going on with our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, so make sure you check that out. And guys, thank you so much for checking out this video, and until next time, take care.